alphabet? Well, the musical alphabet uses the same letters at the beginning, except in music we only use the letters A through G. Let's go over to the keyboard and I'll show you how it works. The first note on the piano or the keyboard, the lowest note, is A. And then the next note, what comes after A? A, B. And what comes after B? C. D, E, F, G. We're just doing the white notes for now. We're going to just skip the black notes. We'll get back to those later. But then after G, instead of going on to H, we start over again at A. But this time, it's a higher A, and we do it all over again. A, B, C, then what? D, E, F, G. And then what? Not H, but A. This time, it's a higher A. Listen to the lower A, and then the higher one. And if you went to the next A, it would be even higher. And the next one would be even higher. And it just keeps going like that all the way up the keyboard.
Here's a song to help you remember the musical alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 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 Thank you.
Now let's take a look at how music is written. This thing that you see right here is called the grand staff. Can you say grand staff with me? Grand staff. That's right. And this is where all the notes go. Every note that you're going to play on the piano has its own special place on the grand staff. And just like when we were on the piano, we're going to start with A. And it's going to be a lower A. And then we'll go up one note at a time, following the alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then what? We start back over at A, and we do it all over again, going up higher and higher and higher and higher. So this A down here, if I were to play that on the piano, it would sound like that. The next A is going to be a higher A. And the next A is going to be even higher. So what you can do, you can see here there's two parts, upstairs and downstairs. You can think, well, if the note is up higher on the grand staff, that note is going to be higher on the piano. And when you see notes down here in the downstairs, you're going to know that those are going to be the lower notes because they're down lower. Now, the reason that we have an upstairs and a downstairs is because we have two hands, and we use both of those hands on the piano. So each hand gets its own staff. Oh, there's that word staff again. We said grand staff at the beginning, you remember? The grand staff is for both of these staffs together. But each one of these by themselves, these groups of lines and spaces, those are also called staffs. When you combine them, it's the grand staff, and there's this brace connecting them. All right, so the top part, the upstairs, that belongs to the right hand, because when you sit down at the piano, your right hand will already be in the place where the higher notes are. So up here is for the right hand, and you'll notice it has its own special symbol. We call this the treble clef. The treble clef means you're going to be playing higher notes. Can you say treble clef with me? Treble clef. That's right, treble clef. And down here, we have what's called the bass clef. I'm talking in a lower voice now because the bass clef is where the lower notes go. And the bass clef is played by which hand? The left hand. So the right hand goes on top, the left hand on bottom. That's how it works. Now, each staff, you remember what a staff is? This group of lines and spaces? Each staff is made up of 5 lines and 4 spaces. We're going to test the ones here and make sure that they were done right. Okay, so let's start with this bottom line. Count with me. We're going to see if there's 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's right. And you'll notice that there are notes on these lines. It's like the line is going right through the middle of them. But there's also notes in between the lines, in the spaces between the lines. This first note A is in one of those spaces, so we call it a space note. So it goes space note, line note, space note, line note, space, line, and so on. So let's count the spaces. Do you remember how many spaces we're supposed to have? 4. 5 lines and 4 spaces. So let's count the spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now let's do the top part, where the treble clef is. Let's count the lines. Starting again at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many spaces? We're looking for 4. Let's test it and find out. 1, 2, 3, 4. All of that together is called the grand staff. Great job. In this video, you learned that the musical alphabet uses A through G and all about the grand staff, which is where we put all the notes. Now, it takes some time to learn all of the notes and where they go on the grand staff. So give it some time. And remember, it's kind of like going to a new class for the first time. You don't know everybody's name or where they sit on the first day, but little by little, you start learning that. And over time, you learn everybody's name and where they sit in class. So learning the notes of the grand staff is going to be a lot like that. Now, I have one other thing to go over in this video that's especially for parents. So if you are a parent, keep watching. Okay, so parents, a really great activity that you can do with your child between this video and the next one is to create your own grand staff using a full sheet of paper. You want to make it as big as you can. There's something about having kids draw in the notes themselves that works wonders. So I highly recommend it. Now, I like this particular grand staff because it starts with A, and when kids are, recently learning the alphabet and everything, that's nice. So it starts on A and then goes straight on up. If you were to Google grand staff, most of the ones you would find would start on G, which is the note just below that first A. I'll show you that really closely there. And like I said, I prefer starting on A. So you're going to want to use something as a reference guide. You can use this one right here. It is from my book, My First Songs for Piano, which you can download anytime at myfirstsongsforpiano.com. The whole front of the book is filled with easy reference sheets. I call them cheat sheets. Things like the grand staff and anything else we go over that might not have gone into your long-term memory. And then, as you might have guessed, My First Songs for Piano is filled with the songs that we're going to be doing in the rest of this video series. Now, you've probably noticed the whole series is free on YouTube. This is going to be the one outside thing that you're going to need to complete the series. You'll have everything that you need then right in front of you at your piano. You can open up the pages at any time and refresh yourself on anything that needs refreshing. And you can practice. You can think of the videos as the piano lesson and the material in the book as everything that you'll do in between the videos. Keep in mind that if a child is taking piano lessons, it's usually once a week. So you're going to want to do some stuff with them in between. So another thing that's in the book is a whole bunch of games and activities that you can do with your child. This is really helpful. It's part of why I designed this book, because children often don't know how to practice the piano on their own, especially if they can't read yet or can't read very well. So it's not like the teacher can just write it all out. And if parents don't have a background in music, they often don't know how to help them. So I've written it all out in really easy, clear, simple instructions, not just for the kids, but for you to help them, regardless of whether or not you have a musical background. It'll be easy to follow, I promise. And then at the end, there's a certificate of achievement. And they'll have earned it, believe me, because by the time they get through the whole series, it's worth about, well, at least several months of piano lessons for the average student. Plus, there's all these very cute illustrations by my friend Margit. I love her. And that's the book. Okay, so My First Songs for Piano, which you can get again at myfirstsongsforpiano.com. I'll see you next time.